Today I'm going to show you how to make your own tactical flashlight for your gun. So what you're going to need is a small flashlight, and I'll tell you what type of flashlight is probably the best to buy here in a second. You're also going to need a scope mount and some screws that will fit in place of the screws that come with your scope mount. And all I did was go to Lowe's with the screws from my scope mount and just get 3/4 of an inch long screws so that this scope mount will be able to fit over this flashlight, because right now it doesn't. So, starting off with the flashlight and what type of flashlight you're probably going to want to buy. You're probably going to want to buy a flashlight with some pretty high lumens. This flashlight has 200. Probably anything 200 and up will be blinding enough on the field. I mean, anything below that, it's just like a regular flashlight. Now, there are benefits to having just a smaller flashlight if you don't want the blinding power. First off, if you're having white BBs shooting out of your gun, the flashlight will actually help you watch the BBs almost like tracer rounds as you shoot them. Another thing to keep in mind with buying a flashlight for your tactical, for putting it on your rails, is what type of battery it uses. Now, this flashlight uses 3 AAA batteries, and that's probably why it's so, thick, and that's why it's not going to fit into your 1-inch rail mounts that would fit on a scope. So this has 3 AAA batteries. Now, you can get other flashlights, which are smaller, and therefore you wouldn't really need to even worry about getting screws. But those flashlights might run on different batteries, like a weird CR battery or something. And those can be tricky and more expensive to buy than regular AAA batteries. And the last thing to keep in mind with buying a flashlight is what type of modes it has for it. So this flashlight has a low mode, a high mode, and a strobe mode. And now I'll show you what those look like head on once I install it onto my gun. You can also get a pressure switch for your flashlight, but depending on where you're mounting it on your gun, you just might not need to. And where I'm going to mount it on my gun, as you can see my grip back here, it will allow me to just rest my thumb right up. Let me see if I can show you. It will allow me to just rest my thumb right up onto the rail, and I'll just be able to click the flashlight anyway. So I don't really need a pressure switch for my flashlight. But if you do, you can always buy a flashlight with one on. So now we'll get into how to actually just mount your flashlight onto your gun. So all you need to do right now is just get the screws in and started so we'll be able to mount it to our gun. When you mount it to your gun without having the screws tightened, your flashlight will actually pop out as you press it. So once you have your flashlight mounted onto your rail, just make sure that your screws are tight for your mount and that your mount's tight on the rail itself. Now there's a little bit of space between your flashlight and your barrel, but I'm not so sure there would be any less space if you had just bought a regular tactical flashlight. Now remember, I chose not to have a pressure switch on my flashlight, but if you wanted a pressure switch and a vertical grip to mount it to, that would be okay too. Just one of the benefits of having this PTK grip that I have, I can just grip my PTK and then easily reach up for the flashlight. So now I'm going to show you what the TechLight Lumen Master looks like at about 10 feet away in a close to complete darkness area. So the first setting I'm using is the low setting, or around 100 lumens. The second setting here is 200 lumens, and the third setting is 200 lumens on strobe. So depending on how much you spent on a flashlight, and if you had any free scope mounts laying around, you can basically build your own tactical flashlight for around $22. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.